Hey kids, welcome another episode of CodeRushed. Check out my the chat room window over there to the side. A little crazy there with test blood. How are you doing, Rory? You with us?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm ready for another week of CodeRushed. We can do some more awesome, yeah?
Okay, fine. We'll do some awesome. Let me show you where we are. I worked on this again a little bit over the weekend. Let's see here. Let's switch over to a different view here so we can actually see the overlay. Let's close this down so we've got, let's bring up Visual Studio there. So there's Visual Studio in the background. And let's bring up our control. So now I think, let's see if this all works here. Come over here, switch, there we go. So there we switch to the player.
Nice.
Kind of nice, but something's wrong here. I just noticed I've got these, the dexterity, constitution, everything seems to be off by one. I'm not sure how I did that.
Oh, yeah.
If I click on one of these, there we go. Click on this. Then it got dexterity. It got strength. So the numbers are wrong in terms of their placement across there. Oh, wait, I think I know why. I know what happened that caused that problem. I think I was here and I added none to abilities at the beginning here.
Gotcha.
And I bet that caused the problem in terms of the indexing here. I'll put a none at the end here instead. And let's see if that causes a problem or fixes a problem. Let's do a refresh over here. Let's do the refresh. Let's bring in our control. So we were working on this. Here it comes. I'm not confident the refresh occurred. Let's, should I go to this guy over here and refresh? Meanwhile, I want to do this here too. Okay, so let's see what happens now. There we go. Okay.
That's looking better.
So it did fix it. Okay, so we've got
the stream too. Oh, hang on. The stream is not refreshed.
Oh, really?
Is that correct?
Let's.
The stream is still wrong.
You're right. The stream is not refreshed. Let's fix that on the stream. Hold on a second. Let's get this out of the way. And so we only have the stream that we're going to worry about. Let me go to the stream here. Bring up the overlay bot inside of OBS. And then I'm going to come down here, being very careful to keep my mouse out of these as I move my my mouse scroll up and down, as we've seen before.
Absolutely.
Let's choose refresh cache of current page. And when that loads back up, we'll try it one more time. There, it's loaded. And yeah, it was a cache refresh issue on the stream. So there we go. So now we basically now have the ability to select something here in the Dungeon Masters app. And then what it'll do is it'll go highlight the corresponding piece. Similarly, we can highlight on another page as well, like that, and it'll switch pages if it needs to, that sort of thing. So we want to talk about equipment, talk about load, talk about all of those things. We can do that. So it's not bad. We've got nice visual effects here. We're doing something that I've never seen done before, which is we are emphasizing with motion in a way that I would call not bad. It is. Yeah. It's got that little magical kind of effect coming outside of it. The little magic gold dust particles that are going out. They're moving slow enough, and they are small enough and low contrast enough that I think they enhance the UI. They call your attention to it, but they don't unduly distract.
And of course, the overall effect of this is to produce an effect that's very easy on the eyes. You're naturally drifting to what you should be looking at as descriptions are being issued from Dungeon Master. Everyone's expending incredibly little effort on following what's going on, which allows them to concentrate more on the storyline, what's happening with the characters, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's the whole point behind a good UI, right? Is so that people can focus more on the essence of it and less on the specifics of it. So it looks like, oh, check this out. I've got like some sort of perf issue. I'm seeing it in both sides of it right now.
Quite pronounced in the stream there, yeah.
Yeah. That is, I'm seeing the same thing over here too. Interesting. So we saw this, and I think I got that when I was starting one, and I clicked another one very quickly. So
Okay.
that might be what's going on. Let's refresh it, come back in. All right, so we'll take a look at that later. I also wanted to show you something else that I was working on. One of the things I want to do is when a player is hit, I want them to bleed. So I've got this particle test blood kind of thing going here. And if you look at the stream, you can see that it appears that I've been injured
There's
here.
something of an injury on your
Right.
left side there.
Yeah, but the problem is there's a couple
I want
problems.
to get to that with a bandage.
Yeah. There's a couple problems on this. Well, actually, hold on a second. Let me go back out. Let me comment this piece out right here. Let me comment this, and we'll refresh this one more time so you can see it. This is what it looked like when I first started. Let's show you that. There's the refresh. Okay, whoops. Again, we've got I thought the refresh would work, but it's not, so I'm going to come in, refresh the cache of the current page. Okay, one more time, it's loading up. So, waiting for it to load on the stream. There it is right there. Okay, and still it's gushing. It does not make sense to me. Should not be. All right, let's come over here and I'll break it down for you over in this one instead. The cache refresh should totally work. Let's go back in one more time to cache refresh on this. See if refresh cache of current page. Yeah.
There's nothing silly like a failure to save the altered code, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering about that, but also
Actually,
we're
if
taking
you
a
look
long
just in
time.
the lower left corner of your screen, there is an error. Oh no, error list. My bad.
No worries. This is taking way too long to load up right here too. So I'm like, okay, I am going to, let's just take this off screen for a second. Let's see what happens now on the second refresh of the cache, if it'll actually work like I'm expecting it to. Nope, it's not working like I'm expecting it to. That's really weird. Let's kill everything and restart. You know, when in doubt, let's do that. So I'm going to kill every instance of Chrome that's out there. We're going to start it up one more time. And is there any chance we're going to be able to refresh the cache on this with everything now being rebuilt? Let's see. Okay, it's starting up. Pieces are starting up. Let's try one more time. Switch over. Not sure what happened there. I think I hit the wrong button. Okay, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on the stream when we do the test blood again this time. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so here's what it looks like right here. When we do this, is just a that's like the grossest thing, right, ever, right? But this is the part. This is my first attempt at trying to make blood, and this is our particle system as is. And I realized, oh, you know what? Even though I'm shooting out in all directions from a particular particle emitter location, from an emitter location.
Yeah.
What I really want to do is I also want to give it a direction, an initial velocity, right?
Sure.
So I added this property called bonus particle velocity vector right here. So I'm going to take all this, I'm going to uncomment that out, and we'll just use tapped index reference on this piece right here, and you can see where it's used. It's used right here in add particle, which is inside of the emitter itself, right? It's right there in the emitter. So I just I add it to it, and it defaults to a 0 vector. So if it's 0, the addition of 0 is going to do nothing to it. But if it's anything else, it'll be added to it. And so now what I do is I come in here, I kind of say, well, okay, I want a number between 270 minus 45 degrees and 270 plus 45 degrees. So that's somewhere in this range right here, right? Some number, some angle. Yep. And then I've set up a min and max velocity. These are in meters per second. And And then I check to see if, hey, if my angle away from up, and this is the absolute value of it right here. So how close are we to straight up? If it's really close, then I'm going to say my max velocity is 10, because I don't want it to shoot up and block the player's face. And if it is really close to the sides, set my min velocity up a bit too, so it can't get any less. So if it's close to the sides, it'll shoot out more. And then otherwise, I'll just set the max velocity. If it's right at the 45, I'll set the max velocity even higher, so we can potentially get larger sprays out here. And then I just add that. So now with that, if we recompile that, we save that. Let's save it. Let's see if we get a refresh here working for real.
So is this effectively an emitter-specific or a particle-specific initial velocity, which includes a vector?
Kind of, yeah. There's an initial velocity that's added to it. It's an initial velocity for all the particles is what this is. That's kind of what it is. So the particle has an initial, it's got an initial velocity, but it doesn't have it's not a vector, it's just a magnitude. And the vector is decided based on where it is in the emitter so that it moves out of the emitter. See, like that. See, I love doing this. If you look at the stream, it's like, oh man, I need a doctor. Now, one of the things that's not so obvious about this here, let's do a couple more of these. Here we go, this one. This one, it may not be obvious, but if you look at it closely, that stream is moving, it looks like it's moving back behind me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You see that? That's because we're drawing all the new particles last, because we're drawing from the end to the front.
Sure.
Okay, so I added a second property here, this one right here, render oldest particles last. And so what that's going to do is reverse everything and make it look like it's coming at the camera. So we're going to save that. We're going to refresh one more time. And now you can see it kind of coming at us. And let's do one more thing. Let's take this and bring it down to 1080, down underneath, so you see what the real effect is going to look like. We'll refresh one more time. Did I do that? Yeah, it looks like it's refreshing. And now, there you go. So there. So now if I'm a player and I've been hit by something, I'm going to bleed as long as it's my turn. And again, this is like a comedy show, so the fact that this goes or sprays the other players is, I think, potentially, loads of fun.
It's very good. We can just have a crewing of blood on the other player.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's quite authentic. I mean, I know that we're really only playing with 2D here, but as you say, the degree to which or the order in which you plot those particles really does have quite the effect.
It does. And the other thing we could do, too, to make it even more look 3D, is we could increase the particle size over time. We could add another piece, right? So the particles are getting bigger as they get closer to us, right?
Sure.
But I'm pretty happy with the way this is right now, right? I think it looks it's kind of comedic enough that it doesn't actually look like actual blood, and ridiculous enough in that it keeps going, throughout the player's turn. So
see, now I'm imagining all kinds of creatures that maybe don't have red blood. So, dragons come along, maybe they've got green blood, or a clown walks onto the screen and decides just to spray you with water, and it's a very similar kind of effect.
But I'm using this only for the players, so I was thinking the same thing, and I thought all the players, I think, are going to have red blood. Pretty sure about that. So let's do a test rainbow. Whoops, could it all work all uppercase? It looks like it won't. Test rainbow, like that. Shoot that up over the top to get rid of the blood. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Today,
good question.
I thought we would do, hold on, let's bring up Adobe Premiere. So I've got Adobe Premiere loaded up here, and I have you're looking at the viewer of the of Premiere. Hold on, let me kind of do I have any resize abilities on this? There we go. Bring that over there, and then we're going to bring Premiere right up here. So you're seeing kind of part of Premiere here and part of Premiere over here. And I have this asset, which is essentially, it was a smoke poof, and I changed it so it came up real fast at the beginning, right like that, and then came off slowly. I want to use this for when a magic effect takes place on a player, like maybe they drink some potion. So I want that to play right in front of the character, right? That's what I want to do. So, so that's it. And you can see I've got a sound effect that I've added as well that I use for basic timing kind of things. What I want to do is, hold on, let's go over here. I don't think I have any notes on this yet, on what I want to do here. Chat room, weapons. No, I don't think I do have the notes. So let's create something new here, and I'll kind of give you an overview of what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for this idea. Oh, wait. No, wait, I do have something here. Hold on. Just got to recognize the page. Pre-combat actions. Close. Is it really not? Oh, this is the page, I think. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So this is the part of the spec that I'm kind of playing with right here. I want to be able to have an effect. And effects can happen on when I consume an item. So like I've got items off to the side here. Maybe I've got like a potion of strength or something. And the player says, I want to consume it. So the DM is going to hit something here or click it or drag it or do something to consume it. Click it and then hit a consume button. And then it's going to be consumed. And on consume, it's going to have one or more effects. The effect is going to have a target, like such as the player, someplace on the location on the map, the scroll, something along those lines. It's going to have a sound that you could play, and it's going to have a visual. The visual will have a visual effect type, such as is it an animation or an emitter? What the name of that, I've got an effect name here. Wait. That is an emitter props. I'm not sure what I was thinking down in here. So at this point, the spec doesn't quite look right to me. If it is an emitter, it'll have emitter props, and if it's an animation. But I'm actually thinking instead of having visual effect type, I'm going to have visual be an ancestor class, and I'm going to descend from it. So I'm kind of looking like at this, and we'll revise this spec in the code. So let's kind of get in the code, and we'll look at that. Before we do that, though, so this is what it's going to look like. Let's turn this off right here. So we just have the visual like that. And let's generate that. So we have the PNGs and we can use that as well. So I'm going to generate that, and we're going to put this out. Let's see. Where do we go here? Do I have a shortcut for it? I think I do.
Worst case, I think quick access shows you places you've been recently, but depending, of course, on whether you've been recently.
Okay, so we're going to go into smoke, and we're going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it dense. So this is our dense smoke. And over here, I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it dense smoke, like this. And then we're going to say generate the entire sequence, export. And if we go inside that, we can see what it looks like. Okay? So that's kind of what's happening there. So we've got all these PNG files that are out there. There look like there'd be about 116 of them, and then we're done. Okay, cool. So we've got the smoke. We don't need Adobe Premiere anymore. I'm going to close that down. And let's see, save changes. Yes, saving changes. Okay, and then we have that other thing on the clipboard. I think I'm going to go over it into item because I've got a bunch of classes over here. I haven't moved them out yet. Lots of small stuff. And I'm going to come in here in item, and I'm going to say, let's create a new class. And the class is going to be a visual, I think. And we're going to add some stuff to it later. The stuff that I have in the clipboard is this right here. We're going to create another class called an effect. And so let's create that class. That's an effect right there. And it is going to have a target, I suppose, but I don't need this yet. It's going to have a sound. I don't need that yet. It's going to, I don't think it has a file name. I don't think it does.
Was the file name a sub-piece of sound rather than necessarily an independent
Oh, you're
item?
right.
So there's a hierarchy to some of this.
That's what it was. Yeah, we lost the hierarchy on the paste. Okay. And then it's got the visual, and we're going to get rid of this stuff right here. So it's got a target, and I guess I'll go ahead and create a target effect target enum. So this is going to be an effect target enum, and it's going to be the player as one of the options, and we're going to have the map as one of the options. I suppose the scroll can be one of the options, and that's what we'll say for right now. What does it not like about this? Duplicate identifier of player. Do I have two effect targets? Have I already created this? Maybe I have. Whoops. Effect target. Look at that. Scroll data. Okay. I already did it. Oh, and look at this. Oh, no.
Visual effect type, visual effect.
Holy
that
cow.
looks suspiciously familiar.
I did this days ago, and
the elves have been coming into your office and coding overnight in order to help you get there quicker.
Yeah, it's a new test feature in CodeRushed. Careful what you say.
Mind reading stuff is working well.
yeah, mind reading. So, okay, let's look at what we've written. Okay, so this is based on the older spec, so I'm going to kind of scrap it anyway here. All right, interesting. Yeah, so I was like, looking at spec and just obviously putting stuff in here and not retaining it all. So effect target we're going to keep. Visual effect type we're going to lose. We are going to lose this, and effect name. I think we're going to be okay. Data, no. Emitter properties to set. That would be for the emitter. And I don't even think we need an effect name yet. This is going to have a visual. It's got an audio file name. It's got a target. Okay. Trigger. Play the audio file. Initiate. Now, I think there's something else I want too in here, which is an offset from the time we say start to the time it actually goes. Because I want to be able to take things where I want to be able to have a poof of smoke and then maybe some sparks shoot out. And I want to do kind of a combination. So I'm going to add a to-do here, add a time offset, and we'll figure that out later.
Okay, so that's sort of delay from the start. So you're going to trigger an effect. I'm trying to work out which way the hierarchy is going to work here. Are you saying an effect is a type of visual, or a visual is a type of effect, or do they not have any direct?
It's a composite, and the effect contains an audio file and some kind of visual.
Right.
This is going to be.
You can have multiple effects as well.
Yeah, this is going to be an abstract class. Let's see. Do I put abstract here? Do I put abstract there? Abstract there. Abstract class visual, and it's going to have some function in it. And I think the trigger is going to look like this. Visual dot play update. Wait, hold on. Start. I think it's start is what I think it is.
So you're going to have a list of effects potentially, some of which are going to be sound, some of which are going to be visual, or does an effect inherently get to have two components?
An effect has two components: audio.
Okay, so when you were talking about a delay, which one of those two components does that delay, the offset, as it were,
both
get applied to, or is it to the composite of the two?
It's a delay of the entire effect. So so I can have a collection of effects associated with the spell cast, for example, right? And so it might be something along the lines of a gulp 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 sound effect, and then on a delay the poof, right?
Sure.
So I would add that as two different effects. That's kind of what I'm thinking on there, but
that sounds good.
What we could also do, though, is we could kill this and kill this, and we could come in here. Let's just make our hold on.
You could have visual inherit from effect.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Audible also as two sort of distinct possibilities.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed. So let's look at that for a second here. So funny how I was like, had a clear picture, and then now it's changing as I'm working on it. Okay, so our abstract class effect is going to have an abstract start function inside of it, like this. And we don't need target, I think. That's going to be in visual effect is what it's going to be. So now we're going to say, actually here we're going to call this an animation, like this. Animation effect, so we don't have problems elsewhere. And actually, I think I am going to go with create an abstract visual effect as a parent class to this. And so this is going to extend, looks like I misspelled that. I'll get that in a second. Extends effect and abstract, like that, extends effect. And then we want animation effect extends visual effect, like that.
Yep.
Okay, visual effect I think is going to add target, because that's going to make sense for emitters and others as well, I think. Although
That seems pretty good so far.
nah,
What are you
I'm
thinking there?
changing it. I'm changing it. I'm changing it. I'm going to create a class called target. Visual effect target. Like this. And it is going to it's going to have a function called get center. So we're gonna, that's good. It's going to have a function called get center, like this, and then that's going to return a vector, like that. And that is going to be, I think, abstract. Do I do it that way? And do I do it this way? And then I want to get rid of these, I think. Is that the right syntax? Hope so.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, so there's a visual effect target, and then I want to create a descendant of that, and this is going to be a screen position target, like that, and it's going to take in a public center X, which is of type number, and a public center Y. And then its get center is simply going to return a new vector of center X and center Y. And this dot center Y, like that. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, there's a screen position target. Okay, so what do we got here? We have animation effect. What's my problem here? Duplicate identifier. Let's find that. Where is it? Something is wrong here. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the error. When I come over here, yeah, it's just that. Where did it go? Why is that duplicated? I'm like, I just did a search. Let me just double check that search.
Possibly it's not in this file.
Yeah, I thought I did it for the entire solution. Let's try one more time. I've got a whole word there. I can kill that. Looking through CSTS and XAML files. Find all. Yeah, it's only on this line. Let's do this and see what happens. Okay. That's crazy. Animation effect must be somewhere else. That must be something global in something else that's available or out there.
Yeah, possibly.
That we don't have source code to, I'm wondering. I was playing around with 3JS, but I don't think anything in here is using that yet. That's really weird. Okay.
Will Bennett makes an interesting point. He suggests maybe creating the vector for screen pos target inside the constructor.
So we don't
and
do
then
it again?
returning a field so we don't repeat it every time the function's called.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. Will's better than me. He's so much better. So much better. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're going to go. We want to have a something up here called center, and that's type vector. And then we're going to say center equals. Yeah, I was slightly worried about that. I had that, pass a vector into the constructor. I don't want to do. Yeah, it works. I don't want to do it, but I do want to do this. I was thinking about doing this anyway because just for efficiency standpoint, that sort of thing. I'm not sure I want to do. I want to do that though. The sending a vector in. And the reason why is because I want the lines of code that call this to just take two numbers, kind of like, here they are. I don't want to then add a new vector onto that, I think. I just want the code to be simpler, the client code. So that's kind of how I'm going to do that. I'm still stunned and blown away by this animation effect. What if I could do this? Can I drill into it? No. Can I do this? Let's get rid of that for a second. And can I just say there? And now can I drill into animation effect? It is in lib.dom.d.ts is where that thing is out there. So it is some sort of library piece that's apparently out there. Lib.dom, what is that?
Makes you feel like maybe we should be namespacing our stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Where are we? Is this TypeScript? It's TypeScript, I bet. That's what's going on. Okay, that's why we're having that issue. Okay, I think it's a collision with TypeScript. Okay, so we are going to have we'll call it a sprites effect instead. Okay. Now the sprites effect, that's going to have a something called sprites, type sprites, like that, and sprites, and we need a base animation name, expected frame count, the frame interval, and the animation style.
So if we've got a sprites effect and we're going to construct a sprites object on the basis of these values, are you going to pass all of those values into the constructor, or is there any real reason we wouldn't just pass a sprites directly in? Is there any way the game isn't going to have already constructed that?
Yeah, my feeling is that I am going to pass it in, is what I think I'm going to do here. Hold on a second. Let me do a couple things here. So I just came in here and saw this. Let me grab, do I need a hit floor function, pad file index? I think I need that as well. And then let's come into here and just come do these right here. Private frame interval, well, I don't think we need, all of this is private by default. Animation style, pad file index, we need that. So I'm thinking we're gonna, again, I'm just thinking about the code that's out there. Extends visual effect. Got to call super, is what I think they're telling us here with this super. That should clear up everything. This dot sprites. Okay, so we'll have a sprites effect there. So that's going to load up. I think I kind of see where I kind of get where you're coming from on this, I think. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Now that I've done all this, Rory, it does make sense to just pass in the sprites that we're going to work with here. Which one? So let's do that instead. Let's do this and make it public. Never be afraid to reverse a lot of work that you've done if it's going to make it better. So there we go. So
I quite like the act of deleting code purely because you now have lefts to maintain.
Yeah.
And even if I have just written that code, it is still less I have to maintain. It's still a positive.
TypeScript's types for JS objects is what Will Bennett says. I think he's talking about the animation effect that we drilled into there,
Yeah.
the lib.dom.d.ts.
So I think the logic is that the JavaScript itself has this animation effect, and as a result, it is in the root namespace. It is effectively inherently there, which is why the TypeScript's definitions are also there.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to keep that and not collide with it, we'd have to namespace slightly separately ourselves.
Yeah. Now, let's look at sprites for a second to remind us, refresh our memory on how this works. I think we're looking for... Looking for a render is what I'm looking for. There's update position. And that's going to be called, the way we've got it in our engine is we're calling
Is it
that,
just a draw, maybe?
well, there's update positions that's happening. And that's from sprite collection as well. So update positions. And then there's also the draw, I think, as well. Now, if you just call draw only, it does call advanced frames. And I think update positions is only needed for things that are affected by gravity, if I'm recalling correctly. So I think we only need the draw, which takes in the context and the time, is what I think we need. So that means our visual effect right here needs a draw function that's abstract, like that.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, and then we need the same thing down in here, like this, and we need to be like basically sprites dot. I gotta think for a second, Rory. One of the things we did with sprites is that we made it so sprites is essentially a collection of images, and they have the ability to draw themselves.
Sure.
So now I'm thinking, we're going to change this. The visual effects are not going to draw. They are going to have, but they're going to have a start function, I think, is what they're going to have. So start like this. I think it's going to look like that. And then in here, in our start function, we're going to say sprites.add, and then we're going to figure out where to put the piece that we're adding. We need a couple things here for the sprites effect. We need also a secondary property here, which is going to be the this needs to say extends visual effects target, like that. And constructor, we need to call to super, like that. And now screen position target is one of the pieces, or I'm sorry, visual effects target is one of the other pieces we need. So we're going to say visual effects target there. So we're going to get our target in here.
So apply this sprites effect to this target.
Yes, at this location, right? And then we need a starting index, start frame index for it. And that's going to be a number. And that's, I guess all of these theoretically could be private instead of public. So private, private, and private, like that. So we will set up the sprites elsewhere outside of this. Then we're going to come in here to sprites.add, and we're going to say sprites, this.sprites.add, and we're going to say our visual effect target dot get center, like that, we're going to say, you know what I need to do? Let's go into CodeRush, code templates. Let's create something for vector because I'm working with vector all the time.
Yeah.
And I want to create it as a type. So I'm going to go into template name variables and go up to JavaScript here. And inside JavaScript, where is it? CS built-ins. These are my types right here. I'm going to type in V to get me vector, like that.
So for those who've not seen this before, we have a whole host of templates inside of CodeRushed that just make things a little bit quicker to do. But a selection of those templates take a kind of a parameter, which is a shortcut for a type. And you can see there's a few instances of this here. So V, the new one, is going to produce the phrase vector. VT is a vote. SPS is sprites, which just reduces the number of things that have to be typed. So if you were going to make a new method, I think we've got that as named as a function inside this particular set. It would be F. V would suddenly be a function that returns a vector.
Yeah.
What's the FV space? And it was just a very simple mnemonic mechanic for getting code out there quickly. Again, less worrying about where do the brackets go, where do the braces go, where, and then moving your caret to the right location afterwards. For many things, properties, fields, constructors, whole classes, anything you basically can build out of text, you can make a template for, and it really does speed you on your way. And again, removes the chance of making mistakes in the ceremony of those structures.
So I just noticed I typed in TV and I got a void, forgetting that V was void. And
Sure.
so now I have a choice in terms of what to do. I'm going to use void more than I'm going to use vector. So I'm going to type in VC for vector instead so I don't have that conflict. So now if I type in LVC here like this, it's going to let me create a new variable here. So we're going to call this center. And then we're going to set that equal to the visual effect target.getCenter call. Then we're going to say add, sprites add. And let's change, we should also create actually I don't want to do that because I didn't like the syntax of that. I was going to say we should create an overload for add, but I've decided I don't like the syntax. So I'm just going to go with this. The starting frame index is going to be start frame index, like that. Mm-hmm. And there's our start function. So our start is basically going to put it in there. Whatever sprites we've created are going to be part of the ongoing modification loop and should work.
Yep.
Just as we should test that first, though. We should create those sprites and load them up. I think we're going to do that in not in Dragon Game, but in a new class I created called, nope, not there, Overlay Manager. Dragon Front Game. So I am creating actually two overlays, one behind the players and one in front of the players. And I've set those up on specific pages. So Dragon Front Game is connected to a page. Where are the pages here? Let's see if we can see it. Overlay Manager, pages. This page right here, Dragon Front Overlay. So it goes out to frontmain.js, which is frontmain.ts. And that is, let's see, Dragon H front main. What did I put it out here? I think I put it here and I didn't need to, but I should have put it in a better place. But this is it. It's basically got an active, why does it say active back game here? Why is that defined here?
Well, if you have a front game and you have a back game, you maybe want to be able to reference information from the other.
I don't think it's needed. Let's go into main. Do we have an active front game here? An active, oh, look at this. I just totally, that's crazy what I did. Okay. So this one's going to say active. One
of your other personalities has written a whole bunch of code for you.
No. The code is okay. The problem is C# Fritz is rating with a party of 2, it looks like. There's got to be more coming from C# Fritz.
Oh, and there's more.
Yeah, there we go. There's the other.
2 at first, and then a whole 84 others that sort of follow, just slightly behind him.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Let's just give you a review
Come join the fun.
Everything we've done and where we're going. Let's do that right there. This is an overlay that we're going to do on a Dungeons and Dragons live Twitch stream that we are creating. This is the tool for the Dungeon Master. so when it's somebody's turn, they'll be able to switch the turn, and it'll be able to select different scenes and activate those scenes. They'll be able to change different pages like this. They'll be able to highlight, for example, well, look at, for example, your intimidation and your charisma, for example, like that. And you can see the highlighting that's happening there live over the stream. So that's all kind of, you know, that's part of what we have been building in the show. So this is a Dungeon Master's tool here for running the game. We also have, let me minimize this right here. We're working right now on magical effects that'll appear over the player. Thanks for the follow, by the way, on that. I was about to say the name of it. There's another one right there. Sukabiru, thanks for the follow. So we're working in C# and in TypeScript, and we're about to create effects. Rory, why don't you tell them about the effects? You're hearing the voice of Rory Becker, who's my co-host on the show most of the time.
So yeah, basically, we're gonna, as you saw some of the imagery just a few minutes ago, Mark saw various scenes in which the players for this game will be present at sort of various depths. So the current player brought to the forefront, and of course the current player may elect to cast a spell of some description, because this is Dungeons and Dragons. We have all kinds of spells, mythology, magic, dragons, the works. And so when that happens, we're going to have some good effects. So you can see one on the screen at the moment. There's some orbital stuff going past, some rainbow stuff. This was all built using ground up sort of TypeScript, JavaScript effects. We have them for all kinds of things. So one of the things discussed was maybe somebody gets hit and damaged, and or maybe, you know, Mark, you want to be a little careful there, because, you know, you're losing some blood.
Yeah.
You're clearly human, though. Your blood is red. So yeah, we have all kinds of effects. We're going to have magical effects. So we've got some smoke for when an effect is applied to you. So this now sort of speaks to, we've got some visual effects, we're going to have some sound effects, we're going to have these things chaining together at the right moment under the instruction of the Dungeon Master. So what we're trying to do at the moment is to create some representative classes for the chains of effects that will be put in place. But you can imagine, I think Mark was literally just leading us down the road of reminding us that we're also going to have many layers to this. So there's the layer on which the players sit, and there's potentially a layer behind them physically on the screen and a layer in front of them. So you can imagine a creature rushing past the front of a character and then maybe rushing back behind them. So there's a certain amount of depth based on which layer these things are going to be occurring at. Yeah, we had fun making the effects. Look at that. That is just beautiful, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have we actually got a purpose for that one, or is it just to sit there and look really shiny?
The blue ball was just we were testing gravitational orbits. So we've got a particle emitter and particles, and the emitter can have an orbit, like we saw with this one right here, test orbit, like that, right there. Yeah, Genesco 7 says, oh my God, Mark is blood. Robert Table says, so layers could maybe simulate a dash behind. Yes, kind of thing like a rogue. Yes, absolutely. We are drawing on top of the actual videos of the players and behind them. So the scroll, when the scroll comes in, I think I've got a test scroll command here to bring it in. Is that not working anymore? Looks like it's not working. It looks like I got to come back over here to get it. So let's do that. Oh, and I think my test scroll may have broken it. Is that what? Did I really just do that? This is not WebGL. This is all homegrown stuff. So
ultimately, it is pure JavaScript with a little server-side C# and some Signal R thrown in.
Yeah, Canvas.
The JavaScript is being done via TypeScript.
Yeah, we're doing it on a canvas. Now, I just shut down Adobe Premiere Pro, but prior to shutting it down, I brought up a graphic of a smoke cloud coming up, and this is it right here. We can just kind of click through that, and you can see it. This is what we're working on right now. We're working on a visual effect that's going to play this on top of a player. So the player's going to drink a potion, a health potion, and poof, the smoke will come up. Right now it's only in red, but my intention is to use JavaScript to change the color dynamically so it can be any color we want it to be based on what the potion is that they're drinking, or the magical effect, the spell, whatever it is. So we're going to combine a bunch of these. I've got sparks, I've got smoke, all these kinds of things. I've got the ability to draw on top of players, behind the players, and we are going to make it so the Dungeon Master can now, or somebody who's helping the Dungeon Master can create the spell effects using data, And then when the spell is applied, meaning I drag the spell or the monster's attack onto the player, this thing happens. And the spell can include curses or blessings, mods, all kinds of things. So it's going to be, we think, a great help to the Dungeon Master. Thanks for the follow, Cope the Great. And that's kind of what we're working on right now. So with that, did I miss anything, Rory? Do you feel like
I think that covers things pretty well. It's amazing every time we have to do a little recap like this, as we cover it, just how much we have achieved.
Yeah, it's not bad. We've written a lot of code, and everything is from scratch. At this point, there are no libraries we're relying on except for TypeScript. That's it.
Yeah. So
I was just explaining what's going on. I've got this front game and a back game, and that's how I'm doing the different layers here. So the file I wanted to work in is the Dragon Front Grid game right here.
Awesome!
And here's where we want to kind of load this thing up here. And here in our load resources, I want to say something like this dot smoke, dense smoke is what I think I'm going to call it. Dense smoke is equal to new sprites. So this brings in, this is our sprites class that we created. And we need to get a path out to it. I'm not sure if the folder is being set correctly here. I want to change this. By the way, we just did the review and we did not include anything about our drones. We just have the dragon.
Oh, wow.
But I could create the drones on its own separate layer so they could still exist here. It's kind of fun. So let's go out and take a look at what our path is here. So when I say I'm in assets dragon game, it's actually dragon H right there. And slash smoke slash dense. No. We're just going to do dragon H like that. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to say the base animation name is smoke dash slash dense smoke is what it's called. Okay, like that. So that's the name. The frame interval is, I'm going to say 30 frames a second. I can create a new constant over here called FPS 30, and that's equal to 33 milliseconds. So 33 milliseconds is about 30 frames a second. Yeah. Roy's trying the drone. We don't have the drone because I shut it down. That's our...
we have a slightly different theme for this show.
Oh, expected frame count. I missed that. Let's see what the expected frame count is on this thing. We're looking at 116 frames of animation going from 0 to 115. So 116 is the expected frame count. The animation style is going to be animation style. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Animation style.
So surfing Twitch, we are not using Node.js. This is quite literally the purest TypeScript / JavaScript you're likely to see. Everything being saved is just using Visual Studio generating the TypeScript, so it's sort of handling the observation of our TypeScript in the background. And then when we run, we are running pure JavaScript as it was generated. So no third party, as Will Bennett points out.
No third party. By the way, over here, this is the source code we started with right here. That's it right there. So yeah, we're using no third party. Everything is from scratch. So we created essentially a game engine from scratch, and we've done it since the start of the show is what we've done. So we've got the dense smoke. Let's declare that. So we've got that declared. There it is right there. And so there's our load resources. We've got the dense smoke up. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now we need to go back to our effects. And let's go take a look at what we're going to do with the effects on this. Or maybe, let's just create a test.
Test is good.
Let's create a test because, you know, a test is good. So inside our Dragon Front game, we've got the place right here to deal with tests. By the way, notice here I've got a test if it's cross 2. Now, let's go ahead and do that. We'll type in test cross 2, and in the center of the screen, it's going to draw, well, it should have drawn. Why am I not seeing it here on awesome? Oh, I know it's not seeing because I'm on awesome, but I want to be here. Let's try that one more time. Right here. Yeah, we're using, Will's right, we're using ASP.NET Core for serving. Here we go. That should do it. Why don't I see that? Do I have the top overlay here? Dragon Front overlay, maybe I need to refresh that. Let's That's what I'm expecting to see. Refresh the current page. It's not much that I was going to show, but I was going to basically show that I've got the layers. This is a test I did before. Let's try one more time. Test cross 2. And I see no crosses. Well, we should have that. We're going to need to test that to make sure this is working. I've got a console log coming out here. Let's see if we can do a refresh here on this page.
Surfing Twitch says, if you want the show to be over 10,000 episodes long, do it in assembly.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I have no doubt that that would cause our episode count to, well, either take forever to get there, or perhaps die of boredom partially along the way. We'd really have some very hardcore viewers at that point, if any.
All right. Let's go take a look at what we've got here. We got an error over here. Effect.trigger, trigger effect. What's going on with this? Oh, these are my effects that I have. Trigger effect. Who's calling this? The consumed effect. Got it. So effect. Do I want to really have a trigger on it? What did I call it up here in effect? Let's get rid of this so I can see the whole thing. I want to clear this range out here, clear the error.
I think that
out.
the problem was that you did have an effect and then you rewrote it.
I have
So
a
there is
start.
no longer a trigger.
No, I got a start is what I have. So I'm going to go with the start instead, is I'll just change that. So, okay. So, yeah, this is all stuff that we're not quite there yet. We're still kind of building the pieces, putting them together. What about doing all this, but instead of images, ASCII art animation? Well, that's what we're building. Something could do that, actually. We've got the visual effect, and we can, it's an abstract class, so we can descend from that. Right now I'm descending and creating a sprites effect. So that's kind of one of the pieces that I'm doing there. I want to be able to see those crosshairs as the test to make sure that whole thing is working. So I've shut everything down. I'm going to kill every instance of Chrome that I've got up and running, and we're going to start running it one more time.
Interesting to note that whilst we are doing a Dungeons and Dragons game assistant, if you like, for this second stream that's going to be created, prior to doing that, we were building all kinds of other interactive pieces. You heard us mention drones before. Well, we had spaceships, drones. We had the ability to throw a meteor out of a portal, have a scoring mechanism. There were walls. There were bouncy walls. There was all kinds of stuff. There was firing seeds out of them. So basically, we built this huge entertainment library for people to access when sort of using the chat room whilst observing the stream. And part of what came out of that was sort of a sub piece of it, the library for doing the graphical effects, which included things like these sprites lists and so forth. So
Right.
for our initial effects, it makes sense to at least use or reuse those pieces that we had from that earlier section. Which is why, you know, the de facto go-to is this particular sprites effect. And of course, it's very quick to create, using Adobe Premiere, a sequence of still images from a video, again, making it pretty easy to produce this effect.
Let's see what happens when I try Test Cross 2. I do not see it on the stream. Do I see it over on the front overlay? I don't see it here either, I think. I don't see it. Let's see what's going on in this inspector here. Let's see what my problem is. Let's go to console.
Ooh.
Active back game is not defined. Is it my change? Is that what did I kill that? I thought I figured that whole thing out. Active front game is here. Active back game I put over in the other one, I thought.
It was in one location and then it was commented out. Did you move it as well?
I moved it to the other one is what I did. Let's go take a look at that. Let's go find it. That I think is my problem. That's in front main, so that's going to be in main. So active back game is in main, but not in front main. I think I gotta, oh, really? I don't like that. So the problem is, front main is, I think the problem is related to where these are being referenced on the pages is what I think. So here's our main, whoops, I want to go to, sorry, this is where I want to be, right here. So this references main.js, and the other one, Dragon Front Overlay, references front main.js. So it's one of the two is there. It's almost as if the other one won't be referenced. So I think I need both from each at each place. Active back game as well. Is that going to give me an error? Because I'm only using one or the other. Let's see if that does work, and that's actually working and true. Let's see that. Let's do a refresh over here. What do we got here? Dense smoke. Didn't find him. Dragon game assets. Dragon H. Looks like I'm missing a slash right there. Okay, let's fix that too as well, because we need to do that. Get that working. Not seeing it here. Dragon front game. Right there. And we need this. One more slash right there. Okay, and let's refresh. Okay, better. And then let's do the test
Significantly
cross
less
2.
errors. That's good.
Like that. And there's the crosshairs. So there's the crosshairs in this, and now on the stream we should see them if I refresh my stream view as well. So there, I've done a refresh on it, and let's do one more test cross 2. There it is, right above the P in display name, right around up here. There's the crosshairs. If I move it down, there you can see it right there, right above FPS 30. So that's the top layer. That's drawing on top. The scroll is drawing behind, right? So when the scroll comes in and opens up, it's drawing on behind. So on the top layer, this is where we're going to draw the dense smoke. So we've got our dense smoke here. We're going to add a new test command. So I'm just going to select this. Let's go ahead and select this, copy it, paste it down here. Test command is going to be equal to, Will Bennett just did a test purple burst. Did you see it? I didn't see if it came across on the stream or not.
I did not see it.
Let's try a test rainbow. That's easier to see. We want to make sure that's still running. Okay, yeah, that's still running. So we've got it. Okay, so now I'm going to do, this is going to be a test. We're going to call it poof. And then we're going to say this dot, what do we call that thing? Dense smoke?
Yeah.
Dot add. And we're going to give it an X and a Y. So the X position is going to be about the center of me. I've already determined this in, where did I put this? It's in the game, not the front game, but the dragon game. So in dragon game, when I do the blood, where's my blood? It's 1050, 1080. That's where I want to be. So 1050, 1080 is going to be, that's going to be the center of that. And the starting frame index is, we're going to not pass it in because it's going to start at 0. So we're going to say dense smoke.add. And that, then we need to have in our, I think we have an update function in here, updates right here. And we're going to say this dot dense smoke dot draw. Pass in the context like that. What else do we need? Now. Like that. Okay? And so that's just going to draw that up there. And now if we do that and we refresh, let's see if this works. In your body, yes, Will Bennett. Test poof. Let's see if that works. It did not appear to work. Sure looks good to me. Let me do one more time. Let me click here.
The previous line that does draw crosshairs uses my context instead of context. Is there a distinction between those two?
What's going on with my context? Oh, over here. Interesting.
Strange.
Yeah, this is the context of the my front canvas. That's exactly what it should be using, not, I think, the passed in context. Let's see if that works. Let's save that and refresh. Good observation, Rory. That was kind of unintentional, but I think it's what made it work.
Okay.
Still not seeing.
He's awesome!
He is awesome. He's awesome.
Sadly, he has to go. My time is up.
All right,
I'll
Rory.
have to catch you tomorrow's stream, though.
Thank you so much
Same
for
time.
joining us, Rory. We'll see you
My pleasure.
tomorrow.
All right, mate. Have a good one. See you then.
Bye. All right, so let's see. We're drawing in the dense smoke. I think what we want to do is maybe come over here and do a refresh over here, and maybe see if we've got any issues in the console. Let's do a refresh and see what happens on this side. Because it could also be, I've seen this before, where it just needs a refresh of the cache here. Let's see what we've got. Test poof. Nothing is happening. Let's send some console log messages out so we can see what's going on here. Well, we can start with just one right here. Update screen, like that. And we could also put one right here to confirm that we got this command as well. That would be a nice one. Poof, like this. Okay, and let's go. So we don't need these over here. Here, don't think we really need execute command. And let's save that. Let's see what we got. I think the update screen is going to just be crazy for a second. So let's comment that out, and let's go back over here and refresh. Just make sure we're getting the test. Surfing Twitch says, I'm going to see if Twitch are blatant idiots and try this. Try what? Here we go. So there is, yeah, so we got the poof command came in right there. So that's good. Let's try one other thing here. I'm going to shut this down, and we're going to try, we're going to step through it, I think is what we're going to do. See if we can find out what the problem is. Okay, let me save. Let's go kill all instances of Chrome. And let's start up. Surfing Twitch says, script alert test script. Well, your chat box is smart. Welcome, Surfing Twitch. Making sure we're secure over here. Thank you for all you do. All right, let's set a breakpoint. Should I set a breakpoint there? I think what I really want to do is start here. Like that. Let's do a test poof. What is it because I don't have, can I not break into it? Because I don't have the Dragon overlay? Let's see if I can break now. No. Breakpoint set but not bound. Twitter didn't even do that, and someone made a self-retweeting tweet that whenever you see it, you retweet it? What? Really interesting. Okay, and yeah, it looks like I cannot set a breakpoint here on this. So we know that's working. Dense smoke is coming in here. Let's go up here. Let's get rid of this one. Let's refresh and just see what we got. We're going to use some console logs here for a bit. See how far we get. So we got a lot of update screens are coming in here. Let's change this up a little bit. Let's say if dense-smoke.sprites, right, isn't that it? Sprites.length is greater than 0. Then we have something to draw. Then we're going to do update screen is what we're going to do. Let's do that. Let's refresh. Okay, there's the refresh. And do a test poof. And we got a lot of update screen, and then it stopped. So, okay, that's great. Why aren't we seeing it? Could it be, I have an idea as to why we're not seeing it. In fact, I just realized what it was. It's drawing it off screen. It doesn't really have the center point. I need to calculate the center point of it. This is a feature that we added to the engine. And the center point is going to be right there. So let's go ahead and let's open that up and find out where that XY position is right there. So we're opening that up in an image editor. And I'm going to just come down right over here. And it says it's at 236,722. So we are going to change things up here when we create those sprites, dense smoke. And we're going to say dense smoke dot, what do we call it? Origin X is equal to, let's go get that again over in the image editor program. It is 235. And origin Y is equal to, what was it again? 723, looks like. Yeah, 723. 723. All right, let's refresh. I think this is going to work. Refresh. And do a test poof. Will Bennett, don't you have any? Oh, there you go. Will Bennett just got it to work. Excellent. Will's asking, don't you have any property or something like that? I absolutely do. You're right. I think I do. I think we have that, or we may have added that to something, some other piece. But now that we fixed that, let's see if it's on here. I don't recall if it's on here or not. Has any? Yeah, and has any alive, that sort of thing. But I'm just going to go straight and call the draw right there, because the draw, as I recall, is pretty fast if there's nothing in it anyway. It's got to advance the frames. Is it? I could make the draw faster. That goes something like this. If sprites dot length equals 0, then we can get out of there and just return like that. Okay. So there's that. Now let's refresh our main stream, the live streams as well, and see if we get, if we do a test proof on that. There we go. That worked. Nice. So it's not bad. I think I want to move the center over a little bit, because it's not quite exactly where I wanted it to be. It's kind of coming off to the side. So let's move the center. Let's kind of pull it out a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking that the center is going to be more around here, which is 309. So let's change that center point to 309. Save it. Let's refresh. Chilaxathor says sweet. Okay, here we go after the refresh. Nice. Super cool. All right, so that's it by itself using the existing pieces. But what I'm trying to do is bring this into a class that's going to manage a bunch of different kinds of effects. And that class I've got here, we've got the sprites effects class right here. And this is what I want to kind of work with and use instead. So we're going to tell it what sprite we're using, and that effect is going to be a part of like a group of effects. But I think I want to do something else on here. I want to shift the color is what I want to do. And I'm just trying to figure out where exactly I want to shift that color. Because right now, if we just simply add it like here, then it's going to automatically draw every single time. But what I think I wanted to do instead, this is the thing we were kind of grappling with when we started, was the question of will sprites be something that's a reference or something that's owned? And right now sprites is a thing that manages its own drawing. The drawing is fed by essentially this call right here. And I think, let me change this, by the way. Let's change this over to this context here and see if everything still works. I want to just do that. So I'm going to refresh this. I think it is going to work because I think I've got the right one coming in. Let's try it again. Test poof. There we go. It worked. Okay, cool. So that's good there. The time to change it is just before we go in and draw the dense smoke. But the dense smoke, there could be any number of these out here. We could have like 100 of these all going off at once. So the shift should actually happen inside of the sprite proxy itself, which is what the sprites collection manages. Okay, so what's happening here is we've got this sprite.draw call, and this is where the shift should occur. So I think what I want to do, I think I got it. I think I figured out how we're going to do it. Sprite, let's just drill into here so you can see what's going on. We drill into this, we get into sprite proxy, which we can override. We can descend from an extend, rather. That's the word I should use, extend. So we've got a sprite proxy here, and it calls draw. We can create a descendant of this class, which I'm going to do right now, called a hue shifting sprite proxy. Okay, so let's try that. By the way, I have no idea if this is entirely going to work. I'm pretty sure it's going to work, but essentially no idea. And this is going to extend the sprite proxy, like that. And it's going to have essentially an override of the draw function, which I thought was not too far away. There it is right there. Like this. And we're going to call super and pass in all of these.
Let's make this code dance.
Fine, let's make this code dance. By the way, that top overlay only exists in this main view. So when we switch to, when you do things like code dance and you switch away, what's happening is we're losing that top overlay. So I've got to remember to always hit that button to bring it back to the main view so we can test that top overlay. Now if you type in test poof, it should work. I'll fix that for all the other views so the test overlay is on top of all of them. So here's the draw call right there. That's going to call the super. Here we're going to call super as well. And what's my constructor look like in here? Okay. So let's do the same thing here. Pass in to super. It's going to be X and Y. And lifespan in milliseconds, like that. That should be good. What's wrong here with, oh, not super. I want to call super.draw. Is that what it is? Super.draw. Like that. Okay. A little happier. Extend sprite proxy. Got an extra right there. Okay. No poof? Hold on. Why no poof? There should totally be a poof right now. Probably because we got a bug, is what my guess is. Okay, let's take this, move it down. Probably because I had code that was broken. Let's save it now. Do a refresh. It's reloading. Test poof. There we go. Yeah, I think it was just, I'd saved the code before we switched to it, and the code was broken. So we've got a hue shifting proxy now. And I think I'm going to have the same constructor, but I'm going to have a hue shift amount, I think is what I'm going to have here. So this is going to be a number, the hue shift, like that. And we'll set it equal to 0. And then we're going to do this. We're going to say if hue shift is not equal to 0, then we're going to do some stuff. And then we're going to need to restore it as well. So that's what that code's going to look like. Now we need to go look some stuff up here. By the way, that was, I think, really cool. Hold on a second. This is not active, so animation is done. If I come in here and I say test poof right now, hit enter, we see it on the main live screen. Watch what happens when I come over here and switch and activate this. It should go. There it is. It goes. And also we've got the old update screen here coming in here too. If we can refresh that to fix that. But what's happening is it's not getting, that's because of the way that the browsers optimize that get animation frame call. So, so you can send it out through the chat room, send that test poof out through the chat room like that. And we see it live on the stream, but you won't see it on this tab until I activate the tab. And then all of those that are backed up will all go at once. They'll all just be like boom, 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 boom. Because we're getting no animation frame, which means we're not advancing the frames of all those animations. So just to hit you over the head with this point, watch this. If I come in and say test poof a bunch of times, like this, like 5 or 6 times, you're going to see, notice how fine these are in the chat room here. Watch what happens when we come over and activate this one right here. They're going to be really super dense. Here they come. Look at the dark outline around the edge because there are so many of them stacked on top of each other. That's what's happening there. Okay, so let's close that down. We got to do hue shifting. What I want to do is I want to figure out how to do it. So let's go out and figure out how to do this. We're going to say JavaScript, hue, shift, canvas, see what we find. How to change the image hue. Oh, no. The color of a canvas. I don't want the canvas color. Animating hue shift on a canvas image. I'm looking for something like that. I don't think I want HSL conversion. I just want to shift the hue. What else it is? It's something in context. It's context. I got to add context to my search piece right here. Canvas, change background color. I definitely don't want that. Color changing. Global composite operation. This is what I'm looking for. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. There's no palette you can use global composite alpha. I don't think I want to change the alpha. I want to change the let's look at that. Global composite alpha. Let's see what we got there. Global composite alpha. Is it going to be something different that I'm expecting? Not. Let's look at global composite. Can you get that? Source at top, context fill style is equal to select color. I don't think I want that. No. It's what you were looking at. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to what I was looking at. That's it right there. Use one solid color, then check out source at top. Shading, check out context, get image data. I'm looking for, set the color to the wanted one. Is it simply that? No, that's with fill rect. That's not what I want. Draw image. Global composite operation is definitely what I'm looking for. Let's try this. Create another search. JavaScript, global composite operation. Hue change. Image draw. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do, or wait. Oh, I think it's it's a faster, better operation is what I'm looking for. Let's see what we got. There. That's what I want. Here we go. This looks what I'm looking for. Draw on the original image. adjust saturation, adjust hue. This is what I'm looking for. Why am I doing a fill rect with it? Draw, adjust saturation, adjust hue. In our case, we need to clip as we filled the entire area. Holy cow. They're just adding a rectangle to it? Oh, I don't want that. I thought we could swap these out. All right, let's play with it. Let's take a look at what we've got with the code, and we'll see what we get with this. Okay, see what it looks like. So we've got a hue shifting sprite proxy over here. Let me just rename this to CTX for a second, so I can then rename all the others back out. Really draw the image. We've got to draw it once. We got to draw it twice. Okay. So that means we need to do an else here. And there's that call. Here's the once. Sorry, that's the twice, and there's the once right there. So there's the drawing of the image. Fill rect. What is fill rect doing here? Width and height. Looks like the code wasn't correct. Well, we've got another draw image right here. Call. Well, I got to draw it 3 times? It's killing me. Killing me. This is going to be this dot hue shift. Like that. This is going to be the height and width. So it's going to be the... what do I have? Do I have anything in here? Like my width and height? Do I have that? I don't think I do. That's all owned by the outer owner of this thing. Sprite width, you think it's there? Is that what it is? Did I miss that? Yeah, that's the owner has it. Do I have my... I don't have a owned. Let's see what's going on with owned. Owned. Yeah, there's no sprite's owner. The sprite proxy does not have an owner, so it doesn't know. Oh, wait, it's passed in. Is that what you're about to tell me? Passed in line. Yeah, I think that's what you were saying. Okay, there we go. Sprite width and height. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Will, for spotting that. That. Okay. Sprite height. Okay. And fill rect, I'm going to assume this is the same. All right, and I'm going to ignore saturation adjusting right now, and we can add that later if this actually works. I'm super interested to see if performance should be good, because we've actually drawn like hundreds of these animations at once. So I have a feeling this actually won't impact performance. If it works, we should be in good shape. Hue shift. So let's now, what we want to do is go to our test where we are adding these, dense-smoke.add. Instead of calling add, we're going to do something else. We're going to say dense-smoke.sprites.push, and we're going to create a new hue shifting sprite proxy. And that's going to come in with the starting frame number of 0 and X and Y of those pieces. And I think that's it. And then we're going to be able to say it's hue shift. I think I want to create a function to say set hue shift. Set hue shift. And we'll make that equal to, I'm not sure what scale these are on, if it's going from 0 to 1 or 0 to 360. We'll start with 20, and we'll see what we get from there. So let's do a set hue shift out here. And this is going to return this. So we're going to say it's going to return this like that. This is going to be our hue shift like this. And nothing happens. Line 264 with the third draw might not be required as the line before seems to be a reset. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Hopefully we'll get this to work because like we've got a couple variables that are all happening here at once here. This dot hue shift is equal to hue shift like that, and then we're going to return this. So we got that the call to the I get some kind of block these out a bit here. Okay, so there's our class. Okay, so now what we're doing here is we're calling set hue shift, but set hue shift is going to return to this, so that's going to work for the push. So it just saves me instantiating a local variable. That's all I'm trying to do there. Just make that a little easier, and that's useful for classes that have maybe one property or a few properties that I'm likely to change right after constructing. So we could also make this a parameter as well into the, and now that I'm looking at this, I'm starting to think, oh, let's just make this a parameter. What's the other one it's got a lifespan in milliseconds as an optional parameter? I'll keep this for now then, the way this is. And I think that's enough to do a test and refresh. Let's see what happens. Let's go look at Johnny Nibble's comment about line 264 though. I want to double check that line right here. Reset comp to default mode to default. See, so the question is, do we need this? I think oh, you're right, it does see. Well, I'm not sure what source over is though. Now it's 266. This one, yeah. I'm not sure if we need that or not. Let's see if we get it working. If we do, we'll comment this out and see what effect that has. Okay, with that, we should be able to come over here, refresh, and now we should do, let's see if we get any change at all. Test poof. There it is, no change at all. And let's go look at, I want to look at the code for the hue. The hue shift looks like it's in saturation must be greater than 1 or otherwise it won't matter. Okay, agreed. And it looks like hue shift, these are in percents, HSL. Oh, we're creating an HSL. Let's go look up that for a second. JavaScript HSL. That's my shortest search I've ever entered, I think, right here. So we can do a number between 0 and 255, it looks like. So a hue shift of 20 should give us something. Yeah, should I do percent? A percent on 100% hue shift? Yeah, I'm not sure I want percent on here exactly yet. I'm not exactly sure what I want. The units I'm normally accustomed to working with, yeah, let's do percent. Let's do this. We're going to divide by 360. We're going to add percent right there. Okay, so hue shift divided by 360. So now my hue shift will be a number between 0 and 360. Now, okay, let's go back over here in the front game. There we're creating it. The set hue shift is coming in at 20. 20 should move it. I'm going to do a quick refresh of the this test page out here that we're looking at. Let's try the test poof again. And nothing in the console window. Let's see what we got. I guess we're going to start sprite proxy here. The hue is in degrees. Wait, are you sure? Did I miss that? Oh, I saw the RGB in the 255. I hope it is in degrees. Color rather specified hue. Hue is degree. Perfect. That's what I'm using too. That's what I want. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so then we're not going to have that. Then we're not going to have this. Divide by 360 either. Let's save that. Let's come over, refresh one more time. And refresh. And we'll just put a link out there. Nothing, I'm seeing nothing. Let's go check out the link. And I think it's the same things that we saw before. Yeah, so this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing over here. HSL colors, and so same kind of thing that we're seeing before. Nice link. I like that. A lot of data on there. Good stuff. Okay, so let's figure out why we're not drawing though. Let's come in here and let's just do this. Let's send this out to, let's console log this piece right here, and just to see if we're getting that out inside of our refresh. So come over here and do another test poof. There it is. And we're getting it. We're getting a whole bunch of them, and then they stop. So it is drawing on there. And calling the super on here passes in the, it just basically comes in here, does it calls draw by index. If we go to draw by index, we basically are calling draw image right on it, which is the same code that we had before with an X and Y positioning on it. So all of that is working. The question is, why is this code not working? Let's do this. Let's just comment everything out here to here and just make sure that this is working, right? Just that flat out draw is working in here. So let's do that. We're going to come in here and we're going to refresh. Uncomment step 2 suggests Will Bennett. Let's try that in a second. So we're going to come in here, test poof again. And I don't see anything. So why aren't we seeing it at all? Something's wrong. Okay. So we have a different problem that's not here, is what it looks like. We verified that we're calling draw, and that we're getting inside of here. The context should be the same. Let's go back to here. Let's change this to our previous call to add and make sure that's still working. Oops, it's on here. Add. Like that. And let's comment this out. Okay. And do a refresh. Well, I'm trying to get it. Well, I'm going to work on that, but let me just get to where we can actually see it, because it looks like. Okay, so there, that's working. It looks like it's a different place, but I've zoomed out. So if we reset this and we kind of scroll it down, that works. Okay. So the question is, why does this one fail? I'm adding a hue shifting sprite proxy, right? Which extends sprite proxy, passing in a starting frame number, X and Y. Lifespan in milliseconds, and then we jump in there. That's also setting in the lifespan in milliseconds to -1. That's all good, I think. Did you get a console log for the draw method? Yeah, I did. I had this one right here, and we were seeing this. We can go ahead and do it one more time. Let's just put a super.draw right in here like this. Put a console log out there for super.draw. Let's go, yeah, we're doing this. We're doing all that stuff that we want to do. Hue shift is not 0, so we should come into this. We should see super.draw call is what we should see. So let's do a refresh of that. Come back in here, do a test poof again. And we see super draws cranking up, but nothing. let's go look at what add does. See if I'm missing anything right here. New sprite proxy, starting frame index, which is defaults to 0. My x and y minus the origin. That's what I'm missing right there. Add takes care of that for me. This one does not. Okay, awesome. So what am I going to do for that? I want to have to do something like this. Minus dense smoke dot origin. Right? There we go. And the other one is going to be minus dense smoke dot origin and y. Kind of interesting, right? We weren't seeing it because it was just off screen, and yet I was open to all kinds of other possibilities. So with that said, we're going to do a quick refresh, verify that we're now seeing it on screen. Then we're going to, there it is. Okay, now let's shift the color. All right, sometimes that happens. Not my favorite kind of thing to happen, but now hopefully we'll see something different now when we do this. Okay, so here we go. Now we've got verified our console log messages are coming in. This thing is being drawn. Let's do a refresh over here, and let's do another test poof. Here it comes. No change. I saw no change at all. Is it because of this X and Y position right here? Could that be it? Let's try it. Uncomment sub 2, Will Bennett says. All right, let's go play with that again. All right. And let's change say saturation is equal to 100%. Okay, we'll uncomment that step as well. And let's refresh. Okay, let's see what our test proof does this time. Well, I don't think I saw a lot of change, but to be fair, 20 is a small change. Let's go back to the code. Let's make sure we're doing a bigger change on this thing here. We want to go out here, and we want to say hue shift of 60, like that. I think we would have seen some small color change, though. Nope. Let's do, oh, we've got this fill rec up above here too, that is, the coordinates are different. And do we need the origin to change here is the question. Let's see what X and Y are when we send them out. So let's do a console log X. And let's do that. Okay, so we're going to send that out and just see where we are. See if it's, because I'm not remembering if it's the upper left. I thought it was the upper left that we calculate all of that, but I'm not remembering. X is 741, Y is 357. That looks absolutely correct to me. Let's draw an outline around this thing if we can. Let's do a context dot draw rect, stroke rect, And we're going to say this.x, this.y, sprite width, and sprite height. Okay, and we're going to say context dot stroke equals red. Like that. Context dot stroke, is that right? Why is this underlined like this? Stroke style. Sorry, stroke style is equal to red. Probably make a line width larger so it's not overwritten below. Okay, so that's the outline right there. Let's do a refresh and see what we got. I'm not seeing the line at all. What is going on with that? Let me just comment this out so we see only the rectangle. Refresh. Okay, so there's the rectangle. It definitely sees it. And it's up for the frames and then goes away. So that rectangle's there. It's in the right spot. Let's look at this code again. Source over. We draw the base animation. We're drawing it. Saturation. So that's 100%. We fill the rect. Fill the rect. Then we draw. Yeah, I don't get it. We're doing a lot of work in there. We're not seeing any change at all. Let's comment out this line of code. Oh, nice idea, Will. We'll try that. And let's change this to, we're going to change it to 180, like that. See what happens with this. And now test poof. Okay, yeah, so no change. All right, so let's do one other thing. Let's do empty cache hard reload just to make sure it's not, you know, crazy insanity world out there. Oh yeah, it's not because we saw the rectangle. We know that's the case. I haven't done this before, but the example of Stack Overflow does have that last draw statement in the example or the live example. Let's take a look at that. Oh, it does not. Somebody was suggesting that earlier, and I was like, but in my head, I was like, I thought I saw it, and I took it from the code, but I think it was totally a mistake. That's the explanation, I think, for why this is failing. Let's try it now. Yeah, okay, thanks, Johnny Nibbles. That was awesome. Great contribution. Ah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Nice. Let's look at it.
He's awesome!
He is awesome. Let's look at it over me now. Good job, Johnny Nibbles. You totally saved us. Here we go. Right over me as well. Here, we'll take this out of the way so we don't have that behind us. Nice. That's awesome. Poof. And the performance is great, right? No noticeable. We're doing a lot more work, but no noticeable change there. That means we can also adjust saturation as well on this. So it could be, we could rename this thing. Let's go ahead and play with that. Let's call it a color shifting sprite proxy. And then we're going to come in here, we're going to say also the saturation. And we're going to say that is equal to 1. So we're just going to default to 1 on there. And if nobody, let's see here, saturation is here. Saturation percent, maybe we'll call this. Like that, and we'll set it to 100. Okay? And so we'll come down here and we're going to say it's going to be saturation percent, like that. Need to put the hue variable back in. Oh, thank you for that too. Okay. And call this set hue sat. Let's give it a second number as well, which is the saturation. That's a number, and let's give it a default to 100. And then we're going to say this dot saturation. Nope, let's not. Let's set it to -1. And then we're going to say if saturation is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, we're going to say this dot saturation percent is equal to saturation, like that. And let's take this, just copy that to clipboard so we can rename this with the same name. And then set hue or sat is there, and that now means over here we could actually say, okay, well, here's our 60. Let's see what our 60 does. Let's we'll test over in this world right here. Let's do a refresh, and let's do test poof. See what our 60 is. There's our 60. Okay, cool. So here's what just happened. On the stream, you saw two different colors. One is the one that hasn't refreshed yet on the overlay, and the other one is coming from the browser right in the background, right there. So that's what our 60 does right there. Let me switch views here a second. So we only have one of them, so we only see the background view. There's our 60, what it does. Let's take that 60 and let's change it to, so if we start at 0 at red, the other side is going to be kind of a real close to red, and then move back. As we go backwards, it's going to be kind of a purple-ish color. So let's say 320 right there. So this should, I'm expecting to be kind of a more of a purple color. Let's refresh that and do a test poof. There you go, kind of a pinkish color. So we can kind of play with that, back this up another 20 or so, come over, save the, did I hit a save? I think I did, looks like I did. And let me get to the right thing. Yeah, there we go, it's getting there. Let's make it 280. Save it, come back over here, refresh, and get to the chat room, see if I can beat Will. There you go, kind of cool. So, so that's really, really super cool. Really, really liking that. That is going to be really easy to work with, right? So now I have a visual effect. I can say it puts out smoke. I can set the color, and with just a few pieces of data, I can get a purple cloud of smoke on front of a player, or I can get a red cloud of smoke or a blue one, whatever I want to do there. In fact, what we could do, we could do something like this. It starts with, if it starts with poof, like that, then we could grab, let's see. Well, I think I'm going to need your help in this. I think there's a split. And if I split by a space as a separator, I don't think I need anything else, actually. I think I maybe just need that. And that's going to give me an array. Let params equal, you say I'm doing it in other commands. Let's see if I'm doing split anywhere else. Let's go look for that. And we can look at this. Split in the entire solution. I don't really want to look at C# files, though. Let's only look at TypeScript. Here we go. Nice. That looks like some nice sample code to start off with here. Okay. Okay, so params is equal to that. If not params, or if the length is, do I need to deal with any of that? I'm just going to say if params. No, let's do if not params or params length equals 1. Then I'm going to come in here and create two new variables. Hue is equal, should make that a string maybe, or not. TN number is equal to, thanks Will, numbers.length is equal to 1, and hue.number is equal to, we'll say like 0, and then we're going to say saturation that number is equal to 100, like that. Then we're going to say, come in here, and we're going to say, what do I want to do here on this? If not params, then that. Then I want to say else if, whoops, else if params dot length is, well, I did kind of want that a little bit up here, or params dot length is 1, then we do that. If params dot length is less than 3, then we want to say that params is equal to the so it's equal to 2, 0, and 1, 0.1, like that. And then I think else, then we're going to say params is equal to params of 1 followed by params of 2, I think. Because, and I'm saying 3 because the first parameter is the test command, the word poof. So I'm anticipating poof and then 2 numbers after it. And then now that we have our params, sorry, hold on. I think that'll work. You don't need the last else, right? Because it's well, kind of, because I'm splitting out I'm removing the first one. You know what? I'm hating this code because I've got params on both sides of this. I think what I want to do is I want to call this one split, and then I want to create a second one called params, and then I'm going to be a little happier with this. Params, like that. And I don't think I need to initialize that array. I think I can just simply add to it. So then we're going to say this, or assign to it there, like that. And then I can come in here and say this is going to be params of 0. I think I put a plus in front of it to convert it automatically to a number. That's params of 0. And then we're going to need that. And then the second one, which is going to be params of 1. And I think that might work. And then we don't need hue or saturation anymore. Although hue or saturation would be kind of actually nice here, just for readability. So let's do that. Params of 0. And this is params of 1. And we need to say, so saturation, now I'm going to say saturation first. I'm sorry, saturation second. So I'm going to default it to 100 if it doesn't exist. Okay? And are these just, what's going on here? String is not assignable. Okay. String, no. Whoops. Let's do this, a plus right here. Okay. Now then we can use hue and saturation up over here. And I'm much preferring the readability of this right now. Hue, saturation. I think you want to set params to hue sat in the conditions, right? Weren't they meant to be defaults? I'm not sure what you are talking about with regards to the conditions on this. So what I'm imagining is something that says poof, and then I say 40, and then like 50, like that. And so that'll be a half saturated at 40, which is about an orange. That's what I'm looking for. So if I don't pass anything in, the hue is going to default to 0, and the saturation is going to default to 100. I think is what's going to happen there. So yeah, and I'm already in my head, I'm thinking, you know what, there's a simpler way to do this as well. Let's get rid of params completely, and let's come in here and let's just say, look, hue is equal to, actually we're going to do this. We're going to set hue equal to 0, and saturation equal to 100. And then here, if it is we need something here that says split dot length is greater than 1, and it's there. Else, if split length is simply greater than 1, then we're going to come in here and say hue equals plus split 1, like that. If split dot length equals 2, how about that? So if split dot length is 2, meaning I've got the word poof and something else, then we're going to take the second piece right there, and that's going to be our hue. If split dot length is greater than 2, then we're going to say we're going to grab hue as at index 1 and saturation at index 2, like that. Better. Yeah. Starting from 1, because the first one in this split is going to be the word poof. Okay? So that's a little bit better. Now, I apologize for that taking so long to get to be a place where I like it. Normally try to go a little faster than that. All right, so now let's see what we've got. Test poof. Let's try 30. That should give me like an orange. Kind of. It's not very bright orange. Let's see what happens if I pass a 0. Is it going to be gray? Yeah, it's totally gray. Why is that 30? 25, it was better. I guess I can modify brightness too. I really haven't thought about brightness on this, but I suppose I could do that. So let's try a 20, see what happens here. Yeah, it's kind of a reddish orange. Let's try 270 as well. Here comes a 270. Right there, kind of a purple. Let's do a 250. There we go, cool. Cool. Then we switch back over to here in this view. I'll move this off screen. We'll give away a copy of CodeRushed here in a second. I just want to try a poof here. There's the purple, nice. Super cool. It's like I think we got like a Twitch purple here going maybe. 240, no, not 240, 255. Yeah, 255 appears to be the magic for a Twitch color poof of smoke coming up over the stream. That should be your intro when you come on the stream, says Hugo Dahl. Yeah, fun suggestion, isn't it? We can actually do this kind of thing, right? We can create a plugin that detects when a particular scene is changing, and when that happens, we can then go find me and go put a poof up there. Or we can actually play a video as well as part of OBS. But doing it dynamically is, I think, kind of super interesting, right? So cool. So we've got our test poof coming out there. We can control our saturation as well. Looks like Johnny Nibbles is is out there cheering us. Thank you so much for the cheer. Angry Moose on the Louvre says, you brainstorming so hard, colored gas steaming out from the head. Exactly. Hugo Doll says, poof and slide in. Oh, that's very cool. Where I just I'm under the chair and I'm like, oh, hello. Pay no attention to the to whoever's out there. Looks like the 0x55 worked, Will Bennett. Johnny Nibbles says, awesome, got to run. I'm going to say, hey,
The
kids.
chat room is on fire!
The chat room is on fire. Thanks, everybody, for that. That is awesome. Let's give away a copy of CodeRushed. These poofs are not going to work because they're only on the front overlay, and that front overlay is only on this scene right here. As soon as I change scenes, that's not going to work. So Will's saying test poof infinity. Thanks for that, Tess, as well. I have a feeling interesting. Look at this. I want Will on my testing team. This guy is awesome. All right, so
Bill Bennett, raw!
let's give away a copy of CodeRushed and we'll wrap up the show. It's time once again for a
Code Rush giveaway!
and today's winner is, wait for it,
Roar Wrecker.
Roar Wrecker. Congratulations. I will DM you on Twitch with instructions on how you can get your copy of CodeRushed. CodeRushed is what I've got inside of Visual Studio. Helps me write code a little bit faster, navigate, debugging, that sort of thing. And with that, I just want to say thanks to everybody in the chat room. Angry Moose on the Loose, Hugo Doll, Johnny Nibbles, Will Bennett, of course, kicking ass and taking names, and Rory Becker as well, who we'll see you, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.